Hello, my name is Eric Benner. I am an enterprise architect with Mythix, and in this video we'll be looking at monitoring and managing your underlying host in a agile converged environment using Enterprise Manager. I'll first need to log into Enterprise Manager, and I've already put this in. So I'll get my default login. In this example, I already have a host I made a bookmark to. So I'll go straight to that host and we'll start looking at this particular node. This is a system on a Netromodular system. This is what I'd call an agile converged platform that Oracle makes. It's different in that I can run both bare metal and virtual machines on the same chassis. But the views here that I'm going to see are going to be the same views regardless if it's bare metal or virtualized. And this works regardless of your hypervisor. If it's a supported hypervisor, VMware is an example, Oracle VM's another example, all this works for that hypervisor as well. Initially, I'm going to log in, I'm going to see my system, I'm running Oracle Linux 6.6. I do have one critical event here, and we'll look at that in a minute. I can show I'm using a little bit of memory. I can go to the other page of the summary. This will show my services, start and stopped, and the last time I had configuration change for the box. Again, this is a management tool, but I have the ability to do a lot of monitoring. So I can scroll down here on the summary page and I can see my CPU, memory, file system information, and I can see like the CPU in the last 3 days, 24 hours, 5 hours. I can also see my network usage. Here it's looking at the last 2. And let's pull this back to, let's say, the last 1 day. I can see my network usage has gone up. I'm consuming more and more bandwidth real time on this particular system. I could go through too, and what's neat is I can run host commands on here without actually knowing the password. Uses the security model within Enterprise Manager. So here I've already built a named credential for the host for the Oracle user. So I can go down and run my host Oracle credential and go ahead and set it. Enterprise Manager is smart enough to know that the user that I've logged in as has access to this credential. In a large enterprise environment, I might not enable everyone to have, example, the host, the password, or the even access to the Oracle account. But based off of a person's role in Enterprise Manager, they have that access when you run commands. So here I'm going to use the Oracle command, and I can run a simple command, just like an uptime, and go ahead and execute it. Now what's neat is not only will this run login, run uptime on the system, at no point did I have to know the Oracle password, and Enterprise Manager knew that I logged in and ran this command at this time, so you have an audit trail for it. And it can be any command you run from the OS. I can run a directory, is another example, and I'll run a directory off of it for my current directory. So very helpful in large environments. I can also edit a remote file to the system as well. I don't have to limit it to just running commands. Going back to the home page on the target, I have other views. Example, I can go down to storage view of the host, and this will show me my disk, whether they're real physical disk or logical disk, and it'll show how much I/O I'm doing to that disk here, and not just real time but also in the last 24 hours, and we can get down in more detail there. I can also show my logical volume management. I can show file systems. So here I would go to my file system. This will show each of the file systems like home and how much space it's consumed. I have similar metrics as well for memory and CPU, as well as host processes. But I have a little more monitoring capability there. So let me go to monitoring. Let's look at memory details, because memory is always a constraint, especially in virtualized environments. You can never have enough memory. So here, this is a status page, again, available on the host. It's going to show me my memory on this particular server. It's going to show 3 critical metrics: my page scan rate, my utilization, and my swap utilization. If you notice on memory utilization and swap, I have thresholds set for warning in critical alerts. So if my swap gets to a certain point or my memory utilization, the system will generate alerts. Also on the memory, when I scroll down, I'll look at the top 10 processes consuming memory. And I'll see here that like this first one's a Java application. It's running JRE8. More importantly, I can see the entire command for that Java program. So it's not where I'm just seeing a small subset like if I logged in and used the PS command. This also tells me the owner of the process and how much CPU that process consumed, as well as resident memory and virtual memory for it. I have similar views under monitoring for disk and CPU. I'll pull up CPU as well just so you can get an idea what that looks like. But very detailed here as well. And again, I can set thresholds throughout the system. I also have an interesting ability to do log file alerts. So at the host level, again, it doesn't matter what hypervisor I'm running under, I can actually automatically monitor log files. And it doesn't just have to be predefined log files. This could be a log files your custom application is using in your environment. So if you have a particular log file that's unique, you can teach the system, look in this log file, and if I see this text, create this event. Once the events happen, I can then have an action. That can be a notification, or it can be a corrective action in there in the system. Corrective actions are ways of automating change in the environment. So that's kind of the high level of what we're able to do at the host on the system. If you have any questions, oh, one other thing before I forget. Security is important too, before I forget. One of the things I can do is I can create security profiles, either custom ones or Oracle ships a ton. I can attach those to a host. In this example, I've attached a lot of configuration profiles for monitoring packages. Do packages change? But I also have just a generic security configuration. I've attached that to a host, and I can see I have violations for that host. And that will roll up in higher level security reports. It will show me security for everything that I'm able to monitor in the environment. I can click on those 11 critical violations and start drilling down into the host. I can see 11 on this particular host. And as I drill down, it's going to tell me secure ports. I have ports that are open that probably shouldn't be. I can drill down into there, and it's going to start telling me, again, more detail of what's going on with that security violation. This is really helpful. You can see here all the ports that are opened up. 111, 631, 22, 8443, a lot of ports that are opened up that are violations per that profile that was built for security. This is helpful in your data centers because security is something you have to be constantly vigilant on. Having a tool that's just part of your management tool, part of how you monitor and run and maintain the data center, is a tool that could at the same time monitor your security for the data center. It reduces your expense of managing complex security requirements in the data center, and it gives you a single dashboard across the whole data center on how you're doing. And if something changes to the security report, it will automatically or can automatically generate tickets or generate events that could generate a ticket in your system. I can also use the corrective actions that if it sees a certain security thing trigger, my response might not be if I see this security event happen, email somebody. It could be if I see this security event happen, run a script that locks it back down automatically, reducing the vulnerability you have in the data center. So that being said, I'm trying to keep this short. If you have any questions about this or want to learn more, please feel free to reach out to your Mythic sales representative, and they'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks for your time watching the video. Bye.